welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy, today with Terry Khalil, and she's from the League of Women Voters, the Lakes Area League of Women Voters, and we're talking about the midterm election coming up in November.
Tuesday, November 4th, but actually you can vote as soon as today.
Okay.
Absentee balloting going on at the courthouse, no excuse. There's been a change in the law, and you just show up and you can vote.
All right.
So you can get it out of the way now or wait till November 4th.
All right, and that is exactly why we're talking today, because with the elections coming up, Terry's going to share some information about some of the things available to voters, and including some candidate forms coming up. We'll talk about a little bit later. But I also wanted you to talk about the League of Women Voters, the local chapter and the league itself.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for having me. The League of Women Voters is 95 years old in Minnesota, which is coincidentally how long women have had the right to vote in this state. We work primarily in two areas. Obviously, voter services, candidate forms, voter registration, that sort of thing. But we also do a lot of advocacy work for the things that historically have mattered most to women, children, families. Also a focus on the environment. So we have kind of two basic things. We've got different groups that work on each of them. We're probably in 35 communities around Minnesota, many in the metro area, but I've been traveling around the state and I've met people from Bemidji to New Ulm to places I'm not sure quite where they're from in Minnesota. So we have a lot going on.
All right, yes, and I know you've got a very active group here in the Lakes area.
It's been really fun. The group was active back in the 70s and 80s, and then it kind of, the women who were involved, their children grew up, they went back to work, and the group fell apart. But in 2004, we revitalized it. We've had tremendous, tremendous growth in membership, new people getting involved and really excited about it, going to a training to learn how to moderate, and people coming out of the woodwork wanting to be a part. I think because everyone's concerned, whether it's local school issues, local city issues, things in St. Paul, things nationally, people feel like I have to do something to try to make a difference.
Okay.
And at least learn what the issues are.
Well, we're going to talk about that, give us some tips about how people can learn about the issues in their community. Also, some of the things available to voters. But what are some of the things that people, preparing to vote November 4th, what are some of the things they need to kind of make their voting process a little bit easier? You said that you have absentee voting you can do now, but what are some of the other things people might want to consider?
Well, here's the best thing. Go online, mnvotes.org, and it's actually the Secretary of State's website. You can do everything from research candidates, get links to their websites, get their email addresses so you can be in touch with candidates, ask them questions, but you could also update your voter registration. If you've moved in the last 2 years but haven't updated that registration, you need to go in and do that, and you do it online. It takes 20 seconds and you're good to go. The best thing about mnvotes.org is you can print an actual sample ballot that looks exactly like what you're going to be voting on, so you can study. I think we all get to the back page of the ballot and we look at all those judges and go, I don't know, whatever. So you know in advance, so you understand what races are nonpartisan, what races are partisan, and you can walk in on November 4th, bring this with you, and check, 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 and you're done.
All right.
So that's probably the best resource. The other one I really strongly recommend, and you'll find the local candidate forms posted as soon as we have them, is we're posting all of the candidate forms on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So you can go in, we did it right after the primary, and people said that was great. They went in, they watched, they got to hear what candidates thought about issues, and then they were prepared to vote. So I really encourage people to do that as well.
All right. I'm here with Terry Khalil, and she is with the League of Women Voters, a local chapter in Detroit Lakes here in the Lakes area. We're talking about the elections coming up November 4th, and when we return, we're going to talk more about the candidate forms coming up next on Hometown Happenings. We're back on Hometown Happenings with Terry Khalil from the League of Women Voters, the Lakes Area chapter, and we're talking about the election November 4th and some of the options, some of the tools that voters have out there. And a couple of the things that you have going on is you have a couple of candidate forums coming up.
We do indeed, for many, many races. As everyone probably knows, because you can't miss all the signs in everyone's yard, we have an awful lot of elections coming up, and people tend to refer to this as off year. It's actually not. We're voting on everything from our U.S. Senator to our local school boards in all the communities around here. We're doing candidate forums for what we believe are the most hotly contested races. So on Thursday, October 16th at City Council chambers, starting at 7 p.m., we're doing all the City Council candidates on one panel. They'll be interviewed, they'll be asked a series of questions submitted by voters, and that can happen online right now by sending your question to DetroitLakesLWV@gmail.com. And that way your anonymity is protected. No one knows if you asked a question. Those questions get screened, they get asked by the moderator, so we'll have all the City Council ones, and then immediately following that, the County Commissioner District 2 race, which District 2 encompasses most of the city of Detroit Lakes. So we put those on the same evening because it's the same voter pool. We'll have that forum, and there's two candidates in that race, the incumbent Ben Grimsley and the new candidate Mark Hagedorn. So they'll face off right after that on Thursday, October 16th, again at City Hall starting at 7 o'clock. Then the following Tuesday, October 21st, we have a huge slate. It's going to be a jam-packed night. We're doing all of the county races and the legislative races. That's at the Becker County Courthouse starting at 6:30 up on the 3rd floor. And we'll start off with the Becker County Auditor-Treasurer race, Mary Hendrickson, Darren Halverson. And follow that with the recorder race, Patty Swenson and Karen Wenner. Follow that with, we're going to have Gretchen Tillmany. Gretchen is running for county attorney, but she's running unopposed. She's going to do a short introduction, maybe field a question or two, just so people get to know her. And then we'll have the sheriff's candidates in what probably will be the most hotly contested race, I think, in Becker County. They'll face off, and at the very end of the night, we'll have the two House of Representative races, 4B and 2B. Paul Marquardt, Jared LeDuc, and Steve Green, and David Sobieski will face off. So that's a big night.
Wow. And to organize all that, it's amazing. To get the candidates to show up, really. They know that it's important to show up.
And they will all be there.
Answer questions that people can submit, like you said, ahead of time. And you do really keep it going. The league keeps it going very well. You have a moderator. You have people timing it. So it's very well structured. So if people have never attended it, to go and watch that alone, how the process works is amazing, too. Because you can bet on like an hour and a half, 2 hours for the actual candidate form.
Yes, and some of these are shorter because we did them for the primaries. But take, for example, the sheriff's race, where we have two new candidates that will be moderated. That one's a full hour. So we'll really have a chance, and voters can compare face-to-face how they view these candidates before they make a decision. So while I encourage everyone to vote early, absentee if you must, I also hope people will turn out to learn about the candidates. The same for all the races. Come and learn. And as I said, hopefully the day after, Kevin Mitchell will have everything posted on YouTube. You can search on YouTube for LWVMN, and they'll come up under that. Otherwise, you can go to the League of Women Voters Minnesota homepage, www.lwvmn.org, and the links are there.
Okay, very good. Terry Khalil from the League of Women Voters here in Detroit Lakes, my guest today on Hometown Happenings, and we have to wrap up because Raina likes to keep us on schedule too. So for Hometown Happenings, I'm Carol McCarthy.
Thank you, Carol.